Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you guys for allowing me to be part of your community. Thank you for giving me time and space in your day. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, tea, matcha, coffee. I'm here for it. Orange juice. Guys, somebody wants to send me Vegemite. I'm thinking about getting a P.O. box just so I can get me some Vegemite. Guys, I wanted to read something to you. I can't say that I've really done that before on my channel, but I think it says a lot, and I'm going to stop and I'm going to reiterate some things. This article came out on June 5th, 2024. This is written by John Ramsey. He is a reporter of the Post and Courier's Watchdog and Public Service team. He has worked as an editor in the Richmond, Virginia, Fayetteville, and Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, and Fayetteville, North Carolina area. Guys, I want to read you something because I think it's a really good example and kind of just tells the story of Micah Miller and John Paul Miller and a little bit of the peripherals. So this case is now really starting to get a lot more traction, and there's still still some people that were a little late to the table. So this is to feed those scrappies. Myrtle Beach. From the pulpit of his church, John Paul Miller had a warning for his congregation. Reading through his wife's text messages, he said he counted 18 people who had contacted her in the last 2 years, promising they'd keep her secrets if she ever needed someone to talk with about him. Now, why is a pastor at the pulpit talking about this to his congregation? This is not somebody of sound mind. But John Paul continues, because he doesn't get that, and he says, if somebody wants to call you and say bad things about somebody else, that's a demon talking to you. Or it could be somebody trying to be there for somebody in support. Micah Miller would call police 3 times over the next 4 days to talk about her husband, known by most as JP. She said he had slashed her tires, tracked her car, and shown up at a gas station to harass her, according to police reports. Now remember, people, there are people that believe that she was followed and unalived not by her own volition, because she had been followed before, and she had said that. So that's been documented. 6 weeks later, Micah Miller was found unalived in a state park in North Carolina. Authorities have ruled her unalivement as a suicide, but Micah's family and friends have continued to push for a deeper accounting of JP's alleged behavior during the marriage and the toll that they said it took on his young wife. Now, remember I had said there was no documentation and no talk of any kind of mental health issues or mental health crisis in any way, shape, or form prior to her marrying the good pastor. J.P. Miller, his attorney, and several people close to him either declined to comment for his story or didn't return messages. J.P., 45, and again, 14 years old. She was 14, and there's a 14-year age difference between them. They supposedly had no relationship, but later she said she felt groomed. He knew her longer. But at 14, he had built like a friendship with her. And he was 28. J.P. Miller, his attorney, and several people close to him either declined to comment or never returned messages. J.P., 45, would not speak with a reporter who visited his home May 7th. He did not come to the door during a visit June 3rd. So, and if you remember correctly, and listen, people mourn differently, but he was telling people after the sermon, just a day after his wife's unalivement, after the sermon, he said, by the way, my wife has unalived herself. Please leave and don't say a word in the church about it. He did say that. You could see it. Not as casually as I'm saying. As casually as I'm saying it. John Paul Miller goes on and on and on, stating that there was no ABUSE mentally or in any way, shape, or form. And now, the coercive control law that they're trying to pass, Micah's law, is because John Paul Miller definitely showed that he had control, and he did gaslight, and he did make her think like she was crazy. This is the same man that we have seen lose it. We have seen lose it and has done so many questionable things in his own behavior, his own alleged drugs use, his own alleged affairs, his own alleged current relationship. John Paul Miller. Let's continue on. The Post-Courier spoke with a dozen people connected to the Miller family, the church, and the bar that JP co-owned until recently. That's a nice thing for a pastor to have. A bar. It's a new one on me. Reporters also reviewed sermons, text messages, property records, police reports, and court filings. Together, they illuminate the secret life of a religious leader accused in court records of actually, put the S in front of that, molesting underage girls and ABUSIVE behavior toward women, including both the women he married. They paint a portrait of a pastor who didn't practice what he preached. John Paul. Investigators cleared J.P. Miller of direct involvement in Micah's unalivement. He had been served with divorce papers from Micah days before she passed. I think it was just 2 days. The day after Micah's body was found, J.P. informed his congregation of her passing at the end of a Sunday morning sermon. Remember I said that? He told them that she unalived herself, and it was a struggle with mental illness, and I threw in there, but if you watch the video, he tells them, please leave, don't worry about, please just go ahead, leave, don't talk about it in the church. The way he told his church, asking people to leave without, telling you, the way he told his church, asking people to leave without discussing her unalivement and urging them to keep attending and giving while he went on to leave because he was going away, fueled widespread suspicion about his behavior. Some people just can't get out of their own way. Miller's first wife, Allison Williams, divorced him after discovering he was having an affair with Micah, a church member who babysat for the family. 14 years difference, I'm telling you. Now, guys, let's stop there. Let's just stop there. That's a pastor. That's a pastor that commits adultery. And yet he's still a pastor at the time. He was still a pastor until a month or so after Micah unalived herself. And there was so much suspicion. Why and how do people follow people when they're sirens? Not just lights, man. Everything is screaming, this is wrong, this is not what you're taught to believe. Yet, you can be manipulated to follow somebody like that, go to church and worship with them, perhaps worship them, give money. Here's a guy who, now things have come out. We've heard that his wife shared photos, intimate photos with him, and he put them online. We know that because he apologized to her for it. He admitted and apologized to her. He did admit to tracking her. He did admit to flattening her tires. This is a pastor. That's why I'm saying, isn't there some professions, some jobs, some positions that we hold people in a higher regard than others? Somebody that preaches the Bible, shouldn't we hold them or at least assume that they practice what's in the Bible, if they're going to preach what's in the Bible and hold other people to it, that they should do it. See, this says so much about who he is and who she was. She had told her family, if something happens to me, it's JP. She had filed restraining orders. She had made complaints. The only person that's telling a different side of the story is only one person. And that's JP. He's got his own narrative going on. Guys, I think the FBI is still trying to figure out what's going on here. Why do you think that is? I think that social media is now becoming big enough that they're shaming the larger news networks into following stories and putting pressure on people. Now, guys, when I say that, I'm not saying that we're all that. But I think that just like an earthquake that makes things shake, when there are rumblings of things, it makes people look around and see, and perhaps see things differently. Or maybe even feel shamed into, why are they talking about this and we're talking about celebrities? You know, like, what's more important here? So, guys, Micah Miller, I don't think the story's going anywhere until people really find out the answer. AI has come into this. I even spoke to you guys about AI and how easy that could be done. But the main thing is there were bruises on Micah, and the casings were so far away from where she was, and there are just things that absolutely make no sense. And the grayest part of all of this is his behavior. It's JP's behavior, his behavior before and his behavior after. Again, some people just can't get out of their own way, thank God. All right, guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. Tell me what you think. Again, half of you aren't subscribed. Please, come on over to our side. If you don't like us, you could return us in 30 days. No questions asked. We'd love to have you stay. We're not a cult. Guys, don't forget, be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Always, always be kind. Never be JP Miller. Bye.